In the Joseon dynasty, power was cloaked in ritual, filial piety, and Confucian propriety. Yet beneath those cloaks, ambition, resentment, and quiet betrayal. Some blood would be spilled. Some sacred oaths would be shattered. This is the tale of Yi Yu, Grand Prince Suyang, later King Sejong, a prince once beloved, celebrated for martial skill and piety, yet strained by fratricide, usurpation, and the ghost of a murdered nephew. How did he ascend from obedient son to iron-fisted king? What bargains did he make, in shadow and in blood, to claim the throne? And how did he justify his reign in the face of moral outrage and historical memory? We journey now into the heart of Joseon's most contentious court. Yi Yu was born on November 7, 1417, the second son of King Sejong the Great and Queen So-hun. Even among princes, his temperament stood out. While his older brother Yi Hyang, later Moonjong, and younger brother, Grand Prince Anpyeong, leaned toward scholarship and restraint, Suyang was restless, fierce, and direct. He gained early repute in archery, horsemanship, and martial arts, skills his father prized. His musical sensitivity also pleased King Sejong, who saw in him a blend of strength and culture. He was granted the title Grand Prince Suyang, formalizing his status among the royal family. That same year, he married Lady Jung-hee, a marriage that would later anchor his legitimacy in court alliances. He invested in culture and religion. Notably, he compiled the Sukbo Songcho, a Korean version of Buddhist texts intended for popular reading. Legend holds he composed this after his mother's death, a gesture meant to guide her to the next life, but also a move to link his name with piety and benevolence. Yet in the palace's hush, talent alone offered no shield. The corridors echoed with intrigue, jealousy, and the ever-present risk of sudden death. The seeds of ambition, once sown, do not wait. When King Sejong died in 1450, the throne passed to his oldest son, Moonjong. Moonjong's reign was short and afflicted by ill health. By 1452, he too departed, leaving a boy king, Danjong, barely 12 years old. In theory, Danjong was legitimate. In practice, he was vulnerable. The real reins of power lay with senior ministers, namely Hwang Bo-in and Kim Jong-so, who controlled court factions, policy direction, and patronage. These men viewed strong royal princes, particularly Suyang, as threats. They argued the young king needed protection, and thus decentralized power into bureaucratic hands. Suyang watched, quietly, calculating. He began gathering confidants, men whose loyalty was bought or bound by blood, whose fear or ambition aligned with his own. Among these was the astute strategist Han Myung-ho, whose counsel would prove pivotal. Suyang also leveraged diplomatic posturing. In 1452, he sailed as ambassador to the Ming court, a gesture which enhanced his prestige abroad, while offering time at home to deepen his networks. Pressure mounted, factions aligned, whispers of rebellion circulated, and the ministers grew wary of Suyang's shadow creeping towards the throne. In corridors, a single spark may set the entire palace ablaze. The night came in October 1453. At midnight, Suyang struck. The blow was surgical. The stage, the heart of ministerial power. His accusation? Treason. He charged Hwang Bo-in and Kim Jong-so with plotting to enthrone Suyang's younger brother, Grand Prince Anpyeong, a charge meant to sow fear and justify violence. That night, Suyang's men attacked. Kim Jong-so was slain. Hwang Bo-in was arrested and executed. Grand Prince An Pyong was accused as conspirator. He was exiled, strangled, or forced to commit suicide. The records differ. Removed from the board entirely. This was later called the Giyu coup. For many, it marked the point where royal blood was sacrificed to ambition. In the wake, Suyang did not yet proclaim himself king. He instead positioned himself as regent, exercising all power behind the court. But the message was clear. The throne's guardian now wore his ambition in plain sight. Over the next 2 years, Suyang consolidated real control. He packed the palace and ministries with loyalists, neutered ministers, and monitored all dissent. In 1455, Suyang demanded that Danjong abdicate. The boy king, isolated and powerless, had no alternative. Thus Suyang ascended to the throne as King Sejong, Joseon's 7th monarch. Many opposed, but few dared. Sejong's grip on the court, military, and bureaucracy ensured there was no effective resistance. But Danjong's removal was only the beginning. Plots to restore him simmered. Sejong, ever cautious, took no chances. In 1457, he forced Danjong, by then demoted to Prince Nosan, to commit suicide by poison in exile. Thus, the blood was sealed, uncle over nephew, the throne strained by kinocide. Sejong's reign became one of paradox, a king born in violence, governing through order, a usurper who wrote laws. One of his signature acts was codifying the Gyeongguk Daejeon, the grand code for state administration. For the first time in Joseon history, rules, ranks, and duties were systemized in a comprehensive legal code. But with the code came concentration. He reduced the autonomy of the state council, limiting the ministers' powers and making the monarchy less vulnerable to coups. He reformed land assessments, instituted more accurate population registers, and empowered central oversight of provinces. Efficiency improved. Local lords bristled. In foreign affairs, he led military campaigns against Jurchen tribes in 1460 and 1467, strengthening Joseon's northern defenses. Culturally, Sejong was surprisingly productive. He reorganized Jangmyo ritual music, aligning royal ceremony with Korean aesthetics. He continued support for Buddhism, which was relatively suppressed in early Joseon, sponsoring the printing of Tripitaka texts, constructing temples, and restoring Buddhist institutions. He tolerated no dissent. Critics, conspirators, even marginal nobles felt the axe or the poison. Loyalty was not enough. Thus, the paradox. Sejong built a stronger, more efficient state, but the foundations lay on bones and betrayals. Though Sejong sat on the throne, Danjong's memory illuminated the hearts of loyal Confucian scholars. Their reverence turned to outrage, and then to action. In 1456, 6 ministers resolved to assassinate King Sejong and restore Danjong. They are remembered as the Sayuksin, the 6 martyred ministers. Their plan: strike when a Ming envoy was visiting, when the palace would be busiest, and the vulnerabilities more exposed. But secrecy is fragile. One conspirator, Kim Chil, faltered and informed authorities. The plot unraveled before execution. Sejong responded mercilessly. The 6 were arrested, tortured, and executed. Over 70 associates were purged. Danjong, already exiled, was stripped of his title demoted to Prince Noson, and finally poisoned. The court fell silent. The echoes of loyalty were drowned in state terror. Seijo's legacy was a C-shaped shadow, magnificent in structure, but dark in method. He left Joseon with stronger institutions, a centralized monarchy, and a legal order that would endure centuries. Kings who followed inherited a state less vulnerable to ministerial coups, though tensions between royal prerogative and Confucian ministerial ethics would persist. Yet, reputation matters. For many, Seijo remains a usurper king, his path to power stained by blood. The nephew, the ministers, the brother. The memory of Danjong as martyr is powerful. Over time, Danjong became a symbol for Sarum scholars who revered loyalty, uprightness, and Confucian virtue. Shrines and memorials honored the Suyang. Thus, Seijo is remembered in dual tones: capable administrator, formative monarch, yet carried by the ghosts of those he betrayed. Before his death in 1468, Seijo abdicated briefly in favor of his second son, Yejong, because his oldest had died, and formally passed the throne while still alive, a rare gesture in Joseon. Tonight, we walked through the corridors of Seijo's reign, a dynasty shaped by intellect, ambition, and the price of absolute power. A story of a man who began as the son of Sejong the Great, a prince gifted in mind and strength, yet he became the architect of Joseon's most haunting chapter. His reign gave order where chaos threatened, laws where corruption festered, and yet each stroke of his reform was written in the shadow of those he silenced. History remembers Seijo as both the builder and the destroyer, a ruler who fortified the throne, but weakened the virtue that once sanctified it. His name endures not simply because of the crown he claimed, but because of the ghosts it summoned. Danjong, the child king whose innocence became a nation's mourning. The Suyang, 6 men who chose loyalty over life, their blood sealing the ideal that no throne should be built on treachery. And the scholars who followed, who whispered Seijo's name not with reverence, but as a warning. Power, in every age, wears the same disguise. It speaks of order, of necessity, of destiny, until virtue becomes a casualty of convenience. Seijo's tale is not just history, it is prophecy, a mirror held to every ruler, every institution, every person who believes the end can cleanse the means. So as we close tonight's story, remember, in every palace there are whispers. Behind every crown, a reckoning. And in the decision of power, history waits to pass its final judgment. If tonight's story of ambition, betrayal, and the fragile balance of virtue moves you, like, subscribe, and share this episode. Your support lets us bring more stories of Korea's hidden past to life, the ones buried beneath ritual, rewritten by victors, and remembered only by echoes. Because here, in Court of the Crane, we don't just tell the history, we listen for the ghosts that still walk in its halls.